The game of Go. This is a game, a board game, played by 2 players, and it is competitive. That means that the result is a win or a loss, or it's a draw. It is an abstract game, so there is no theme of the game. It's not a direct sort of a model of anything from the real world, although we will see later that it is very much on a metaphorical level it is connected. And it is combinatorial, so the difficulty comes from just the sheer number of possibilities when you have to make a decision. So the game is like a sequence of logic puzzles. It is a pure skill strategy game. That means that you win the game by making better decisions, good decisions, better than your opponent. There is no luck involved. Okay, so the question, what is the goal of the game? As you will see in a moment, you just need to surround territory. You just have to more territory than your opponent. And this can be done by making sort of walls around your territory. And also, when it comes to that, capturing your opponent's stones. So this is the idea. Let's see how the game looks like. The game starts with an empty board, and then black places a stone in an intersection. After that, white, and then black, and then white. So the players alternate, and on a full board it takes a while to finish a game, and it's usually not played this fast. So this is the end of the game. This is how it finishes, and all the territories are sealed off. So let's see, let's just highlight those. Okay, so these are the surrounded territories and stones, and white wins by 7.5 points. Of course, this looks quite complicated, so let's do something simpler than that. So the question is, how can we surround territory? Well, we can build walls. So this is it's going to be a very simple game. So black moves first, white answers, black, white. This is a very peaceful game, peaceful wall building. It's very unrealistic. Okay, at this point the game is finished. So now we can sort of see that this side, it's black's territory, and this side is white's territory. So how do we know that? Well, okay, that's a sort of a silly question. Well, we can obviously see it, but there is a precise way of telling it. For example, if I pick an intersection here, and I ask that, oh, okay, so whose territory does this belong to? And I can just walk along the lines in every direction and just keep track of that. Okay, what do I bump into? Well, I hit the corner here, so it's edge. Oh, it's black. It's black, black, black. I only bump into black stones. Okay, so you get, this is the flood model, so to speak. And you can imagine just filling water here, and it's like the surrounding walls are all black, and the same here for white. So that's a fairly obvious idea, and that also answers the question. So it like, what happens if players stop the game at this point? Well, it's not finished yet. Okay, so if you put water here, well, that will leak into there, and it will have white, it will bump into white wall as well, and black wall, and it's like, okay, whose territory? Well, it's not decided. And also, if we have this is not finished yet, because, well, okay, black's territory is sealed, but white's territory, again, if I start putting water in there, well, it will hit black as well. So white has no territory. Okay, well, how do you count the score? Well, these are the surrounding intersections, and you have 2 times 6, that's 12. 12 here as well. So this is a draw. Okay, so far so good. It gets a bit more complicated if, let's say, black moves here. So now whose territory is that? Is it still white's territory, or it became just no man's land? Well, white has to prove. So this stone is actually alone in the white's territory, so that's an invasion, and white can say that, well, I can actually surround you as well. And if black insists, then white can actually surround black stones. And now this is a situation where these 2 black stones are completely surrounded. They don't have any neighboring empty intersection, so they have to be removed from the board. And now again it's clear that, oh, that's white's territory. So, well, okay, in Japanese counting, you eventually put it back because it's like it's penalty point, so you have 2 less. But that's not the point here. The point is that for beginner games, you should be careful when you surround stones. Sometimes it's not so obvious like this. Then you have to remove them, otherwise the game just doesn't make any sense. Okay, so imagine the following scenario is that, well, black moves there and says that, well, okay, I'm doing an invasion. And white says, okay, I don't care, I just pass. And black says that, okay, I move here. Then white passes, and then black moves here. Then white passes. Then black moves here, and the white passes. Well, okay, that's like white says, oh, wait a minute, this is not going well, I have to do something. I have to start surrounding black. But it turns out that it's actually too late, because if black moves here, now you see that white stones are almost fully surrounded. So no matter what white does, well, white can try to surround these stones, but black moves here. Okay, and see who got totally surrounded? That's white. Okay, so now whose territory is this? Well, yeah, that's black's. Whose territory is that? Well, this white cannot really do anything, so it's basically it's all black. So you can surround stones, and you can get surrounded. So to summarize how you can surround territory, you can build walls, and if it comes to that, you can surround the opponent's stones as well, and that's how you make territory. So look at this board position. So we see that this little white stone is almost surrounded. There is only one empty neighbor. So this is called, well, that's a terminology, it's called Atari. And the next move, black can actually capture it. Okay, but that's not the interesting point here, but the interesting point is that imagine the following scenario. Okay. The question is that can black capture this stone? And it turns out that if black moves here, see, there is trouble because black is surrounded. However, the rule says that if you capture stone, you can sort of put your stone down, which is temporarily surrounded. So this is totally fine. Okay, again, it's this is how you capture, remove, and then you are fine after this. So here's another variation. Okay, imagine that this other black stone is not here. Another question is that, can you move here? Well, the answer is no, because, well, you just put down a stone which is totally surrounded, so it needs to be removed from the board. So it's like you just capture yourself, and some rule sets, they just don't allow this. Okay, so this one is not legal. However, if you capture, then it's fine. Okay, this is a sort of a subtle difference, and it's a bit confusing in the beginning. So here's another question. Here's another rule. So if black takes white, is it possible for white to retake this? Okay, well then you can imagine that the game goes like this. Well, this is not particularly exciting. So there is this rule that if you take a stone and white has the opportunity to take it back, it cannot be done immediately. White has to move somewhere else first. Okay, and then, well, black has the option to just remove this possibility, or black can move somewhere else as well, and now you can retake that stone. So this looks like, wow, that's a very strange rule. There is a very simple way of remembering it. There are no infinitely long games. Okay, so the game will finish. Therefore, you can never repeat the same board position. That's why when white was about to repeat the board position, white had to move somewhere else. Okay, so now white, after that, white could retake it, but see, the overall board position changed. Okay, so there is progress. So the games should finish in finite amount of time. So this was discussing artery and capturing and recapturing, and that's the core rule that you cannot recapture immediately. So this introduction is the bare minimum to start playing the game, and I intentionally will not say anything more. I will not talk about liberties and I space, eyes, and the status of alive and dead for groups, and because, well, you can just discover them yourself, and I think it's a bit more exciting to do, and then we can talk about it later. So the traditional advice is that you should lose your first 100 games as quickly as possible, and of course have an open mind and pay attention to what's going on. But the modern take is that that's probably not really a good advice, because even if you just play short games, 100 times of that's many hours of losing games, and that's probably not the best thing to do. So yeah, just do whatever you like. You just play games or solve Go puzzles, well, in the beginning, your progress will be very, very quick anyway. So most importantly, have fun playing the game.